Reverend Dr. Holt, thank you for inviting me into God's house today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a great honor. I'm here with my granddaughter, Finnegan, and my wife, Jill, or actually I introduce myself as Jill's husband. And David and I have been friends for a long time. I also want to thank Marvin Pendaris. Thank you very much for being. And by the way, he's about to have a baby. He's not having the baby, but someone else having that baby, his wife. I love it how we men always say, I'm about to have a baby, right? Easy for us. But anyway, congratulations. Look, I thank you all for welcoming me to worship with you today. I grew up as a young man, spent a lot of time in the African American church in my state. We have the 8th largest black population in America in Delaware, and as a percent of population. And that's as a kid I got started in the civil rights movement and spent a lot of time organizing in the black church and then going out and trying to do our thing. And what I've always found, Reverend, is that, Pastor, is that the thing about the black church is it's all about hope. It's all about hope. That's how I view it anyway. Because there's so many people have been put down for so long in so many ways, but to come to church and to remind it. You know, there's that famous theologian who said, faith sees best in the dark. And it's been awful dark sometimes for a lot of folks. It's been awful dark. And it's getting darker today because, I wake up sometimes and I wonder whether we're living through in 1920 or 2020. I'm not quite sure. We hear the voices of intolerance like we haven't heard them in a long, long time. They've never gone away. But for a while there, they went away at least nationally. They went away in the White House. They went away in the leadership of this country. But we hear them today. We hear the chorus of hate and exclusion. The idea that, in fact, somehow some people aren't deserving of respect. Some people aren't deserving of opportunity. How that exclusion and denial that keeps going on. And I know you hear it too. I know you hear it. But I also know that when you hear it, you have to respond. We have to respond to what we hear. You can't sit around and wish and pray just things are going to get better. We have a lot of work to do. But that's what we've always done in this nation. We've always fought back. With Donald Trump as president, our core values, our literal standing in the world, our very democracy, everything that's made America, America, is at stake. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. I never thought in my career I'd see a president quite like this, the way he treats people. This guy's more George Wallace than George Washington. And folks, this isn't just an election. I think this is the battle for the soul of America. I really mean it. Literally the soul of America. I remember I thought things were really changing faster when years ago, not that many now, I guess about 13 years ago, I was standing on a platform at a train station in Wilmington, Delaware, waiting for a black man to come about 20 miles on a train from Philadelphia down to Wilmington, Delaware, my hometown, to pick me up to go another 127 miles down to Washington, D.C. to get sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States. Well, I thought I had stood on that platform almost 40 years ago, that same spot, almost 40 years of the month. I came home from law school. I had a scholarship to go away to school. We had no money to go. Anyway, I came home, and it was the year Dr. King was assassinated. Two political heroes, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy. And they were both assassinated my last semester in law school. And I came home, and I had a job with a fancy law firm. But we didn't get admitted to practice in the bar, to be a lawyer, to actually practice until January. And that January, after taking the bar exam and being with this fancy firm for a while, I realized since there was we were the only city in America where the National Guard was stationed on every corner with drawn bayonets, and the state troopers had come in and taken over the city police department because a significant portion of our city had been burned down. No other city in America has ever been occupied by the military since the Civil War. And I realized I couldn't do what I was doing, and I quit. I became a public defender. And I used to interview my clients before they got arraigned down that train station. And you know what? Here I was, 40 years of the month later, standing there. I thought things would never get better. And here I was standing 40 years later, and I called my kids up. Our son, Bo, who died, was a wonderful guy. He was Attorney General, a war hero, spent a year in Iraq, Bronze Star, Conspicuous Service Medal. Our son, Hunter, who ran the World Food Program, USA, and our daughter, who's a social worker. And I called him up and I said, look, it just dawned on me. I'm looking out over the east side. It had been burned to the ground. And over what they call there's a Christiana River. On the other side of the river is Southgate. And I thought to myself, it's all built up again. People are actually talking to one another in my city again. And I thought, my God. And I called them up and I said, you know, look, I tell you, don't tell me things can't change. Don't tell me things can't change. But then, in 2017, something happened I never thought would happen after Barack was president. You saw those people coming out of the fields in Charlottesville, their veins bulging, carrying torches, chanting anti-Semitic bile and hate, accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. And when a young woman was killed resisting the hate, the press asked the president, what do you think? He said there were some very fine people on both sides. No president has ever said anything like that. But look, this isn't just an election. As I said, this is a battle for the soul of this country. And if we get rid of Donald Trump, we have a tremendous opportunity to make great steps forward. There's so many people ready now that the Band-Aid's been ripped off to deal with, move forward in steps in racial justice and criminal justice, economic justice, environmental justice. Look, it's time we give the marginalized and the demonized and the isolated, the oppressed, their full share of the American dream. Rip out the roots of systemic racism in this country, because the country now is seeing the ugly side again. They've seen it in a way, and average Americans all over the country are going, enough, enough, enough. And folks, look, we can heal what's wrong in our country. We can heal our children growing up in fear, cut down by bullets in classrooms. We can heal what's wrong in the country when people can't access health care they deserve. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. How can you maintain your dignity when you have a child that's ill and there's nothing you can do about it? How can you maintain your dignity as a parent when you see a child with promise, opportunity, and there's nothing you can do to promote it? Well, it's all about dignity. And ladies and gentlemen, I was proud to work with Barack, I shouldn't call him Barack, I do it because I don't want to get confused with that other president if I say president, you know what I mean? I was proud to work with President Obama to get Obamacare passed. Passing a law that was a declaration of our national conscience, which is that everyone's entitled to health care. It's not a gift. Health care is a right. And look, but the roughly 200,000 South Carolinians who would have health care coverage today if your governor had expanded Medicaid under Obamacare. These families can't afford to wait any longer. We can defend and build on Obamacare so that every single American can afford the health care they deserve, as good as everybody else's health care. That's why we build on Obamacare, and I can get it done. We can get it passed. We can get it passed immediately, just like we got Obamacare passed. And look, folks, you know, we come back together as a nation. We have to reset our values, define who we are as a country. You know, history's not a fairy tale. History's not a fairy tale. You know, at our best, America's ideal wins out, but the battle's never over. What I learned from what I saw in the period, just in a matter of 8 years. I watched that pendulum swing. You know, I thought we could defeat hate, but hate only hides. It only hides. And the words of a president matter. The words of candidates matter, what they say. They can breathe oxygen into that hate, give it rise. That's what happens. Well, folks, you know, I think the country's ready. I think the country's ready. We have to rebuild a middle class, and this time bring everybody along. Black, brown, poor, wealthy. We got to bring everybody along. Because when we do, think about it, and I'll end with this. Think about this. We're still debating over whether or not it's okay for people to own assault weapons that have 100 rounds of ammunition in them. You sent your kids off to school this September, little kids, and they learn how to duck and cover, cower under their desk, learn how to zigzag running down all. That is moral decay. That is wrong under any circumstances. And the idea, we're still debating this, is beyond my comprehension. The NRA and the gun manufacturers, they own the White House. But we got to take control and take it back from them. So folks, look, I don't want to get going, because if I get going, I'll start preaching and I'll stay here a long time and get in trouble. I know. So I'm going to end by saying this. Look, this is an incredible opportunity. I want you to know, although I've had overwhelming support from the community my whole career, I don't expect anything. I'm here to earn. I'm here to earn your vote. I'm here to earn your support. I'm here to say that, look me over. Take a look at my record. See whether you think I am what I say I am. Talk to people who know me. I don't expect anything, but I know one thing, and this is real. The African American community in South Carolina can make a judgment about who the next president of the United States is going to be. No, I'm not. That's not exaggeration. Literally, you're able to do this because you have in your hands the power, unlike any time in a long time, to determine who the next Democratic nominee will be. So look us over closely, because when the African American community decides, we're going to move into Super Tuesday, as they call it, where there's significant African American vote. You can own this election. You're entitled to own it. It's yours to determine, and I hope you'll just look me over. I used to run a knock on a kid. I got elected when I was 29 years old. I'd knock on the door and say, "My name's Joe Biden, Democratic candidate for the United States Senate." And they'd look at me like, "Are you old enough?" You know? But I wasn't, actually. And I'd say, "Look me up. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other person." But folks, the vote is in your hands, not a joke. You can control this outcome. I'm going to do everything in my power to earn your respect, earn your vote. Thank you for considering me. And Reverend, thank you very much. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.